The Shady Maple staff, what a great job. Let's give them a round of applause for a great job. When we were planning this, I was working with the catering director here, and I said, well, we're hoping to have 640 people, and I'm only allowing a certain amount of time to eat, and are you sure you're going to be able to get them all through in a short amount of time? And they assured me that they would be able to, and they came through. So thank you very much for that. As in any event like this, and for me, as someone who has done this in the past, this is usually the hardest part for the person that has to acknowledge people that are in the room for various reasons, because inevitably you forget someone. So hopefully I won't forget anyone. If I did, it was not on purpose. First of all, I'd like to recognize the 80 table sponsors. I'm not going to name all of you by name, thankfully. But if you are a table sponsor, thank you very, very much for your generosity and filling up your table. We do have some event sponsors. We have table sponsors, but this year we tried something a little different, and we also got event sponsors, and I would like to acknowledge them as well. There were several exceedingly generous contributions that were made by some event sponsors. They wanted to remain anonymous. There are a few in the room tonight. You know who you are. I obviously will not be pointing you out, but I did want to acknowledge that there are several anonymous gifts that were given as well. The other event sponsors, and they were out on the sponsor board as well, Mr. and Mrs. Chet Byler, Garden Spot Village, Congressman and Mrs. Joe Pitts, Mr. and Mrs. Glenn Horst, Dr. David Silbert from Conestoga I, the High Family Foundation, Four Seasons Produce, Valco, VW Post 7530 from Lower Allen Township, Wegmans, and a college friend of mine, Mr. Jack Howard. I would also, and if you could all give them a big round of applause for our event sponsors. Thank you. Now, I would like to recognize a few other people who are very, very important to Blessings of Hope. The first one, David Lapp. Where's David? David's in the back. David is our CEO, and he's sort of the financial genius behind all of this and does a lot of hard work at Blessings of Hope, and we're very, very thankful that he is with us. I'd also like to recognize Jonas Stoltzfus again. Jonas is our chairman of the board, right here. You're going to be hearing from him in a second, but we're honored tonight to have Congressman Lloyd Smucker with us. And he is up for re-election. I probably shouldn't have said that, but as someone used to be in that business, that I know that's appreciated when the host does that, or the MC. We also have State Senator Scott Martin with us, right here. Scott. And his lovely wife, Amber, is also the county treasurer. County Treasurer Amber Martin. We have two state reps with us tonight, Keith Greiner and David Zimmerman. And we also have Steve Lapp and Jake Lapp here from sort of our parent organization, Light of Hope Ministries. So there's Jake, and here is Steve. I know that Steve's the real genius behind all this, and he's sort of the final say on everything. So he's sort of the patriarch. So you didn't know I knew that, did you? Huh? I'm smarter than you think. So. And then finally, we're also honored tonight to have James Macklin. Mr. Macklin, would you stand up over here? Just real quick. You can't speak, but I want you to stand up, okay? He is a special person to Blessings of Hope. Mr. Macklin works for the Bowery Mission. I'm sure many of you in the room tonight know about and understand the very wonderful and unique and fruitful relationship between the Bowery Mission and Blessings of Hope. In the interest of time, I'm not going to get into it, but really the relationship between Blessings of Hope and the Bowery Mission was one of the keystones of what really got Blessings of Hope started 12 years ago in 2006. And it's pretty amazing, huh, Aaron, when you consider just 12 years ago in a garage, and it's grown to this. So the Lord has blessed us. And finally, and probably in some ways, most importantly, the staff at Blessings of Hope. And this is where I'm really nervous, because if I work with these people every day, so if I miss someone, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. And really, I use the word staff, but I like to think of us as a family. We all love each other. We enjoy each other's company. We enjoy coming into work every day. And to me, they've become my extended family. This is in no particular order, so if you're last, please don't be offended. Micah Neff, Alicia Bellino, Joe Bellino, Jonathan Fisher, Ben Fisher, Barbie Fisher, Wilmon McClellan, Chris Kochman, Derek Turnbull, John Lapp, Aaron Lapp, and Elizabeth Lapp. And if you would all please stand to be recognized. So they're the people that make BOH go every day, and they're very, very special people. They work long hours. They react to all kinds of situations every day. And they are a true blessing. Did I forget anyone? No. Well, no, he's got his own special place, okay? Now, Aaron, you get your own special shout out, okay? So calm down over there, okay? Next, I'd like to just briefly introduce our Congressman, Congressman Lloyd Smucker. He's going to come up and speak briefly. I do have to give him one quick shout out, because I give him a hard time a lot. He won't admit it, but I send him emails all the time. I'm not sure if he always reads them, but regardless, I send them. But just real quickly, I'll try to make this simple. So this year, there have been two bills that passed through the House, passed through the Senate, and they went over to the President for his signature. And both of these were huge spending bills. And the sad part is that none of the money being spent was paid for in any way, shape, or form. It was just basically sent off to the future, and what will happen will happen. And you don't know, and this is something that it's a little bit of insider baseball, but members of Congress get a lot of pressure from the leadership to vote a certain way. And if a particular vote is really important, the members know how leadership wants you to vote. It goes out to the members. They know there's an expectation. And on both of those bills, Lloyd voted no. And there's a penalty, sort of a penalty that he might pay somewhere down the line with the leadership. But Lloyd had the courage, the political courage, to do the right thing for his constituents. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Really great to be here with you this evening. It's always good to be out of the swamp, first of all. Tom, I do read your emails. I thank you. Tom has been great with both solicited and unsolicited advice, but he's been absolutely outstanding, a really smart man, and I always appreciate his input. But one of the reasons it's great to be here, because I think truly when I'm coming back from Washington, D.C., I really do believe that this is the best congressional district in the entire country. Yeah. And why do I say that? I've learned something in D.C. in the 2 years I've been there. People know Lancaster County. And people recognize, like everywhere, anybody I talk to, other members of Congress, whoever it might be, I mention I'm from Lancaster, and they understand the great things that we have in Lancaster. They understand the beauty of the place, first of all. They understand the good food options we have. And by the way, Marvin, Miriam, doesn't matter what Tom says. I know Wegmans might be good, but we had Shady Maple long before we had Wegmans, so. Yeah. But you know what people really know about Lancaster County? That is the the heritage, the foundation, the values of the people who live here. And there is nothing like that, like what you're seeing here this evening, that displays that more than this entire room full of individuals who care enough about their neighbors in need to give of their time and their resources to help meet those needs. And you see this all over this district. It's a wonderful district to represent because of that. So I asked Tom what to say here this evening. He said, tell them to open their pocketbooks and give some money. And I know that will happen. I absolutely know that will happen. That's what we're made of. We are made of, in Lancaster County, the idea that you help those in need. It's a wonderful thrill of mine to represent this district, to be your voice in Washington, D.C. I thank you for the opportunity to do that. It is wonderful to be here with you this evening. Tom said I can't be political, but I'll say this. Don't forget to vote on November 6th. Thank you.
And I do appreciate the Congressman said that, and I know I might be getting in a little bit of trouble here, but that's never stopped me before. But no, seriously, we do want to have good conservative Christian representation in Washington. And the fact of the matter is, people talk about politics and they talk about voting and running for office, and sometimes it gets sort of this sort of negative connotation that it's sort of an unseemly sort of a dirty business. But folks, that's the system. That's the system. Lloyd needs to get one more vote than the other person. That's just the system we have. And he does need your support. And
I grew up in a very poor family. My dad wasn't a and there was a tremendous financial need. There was somebody that brought us a box of food every few weeks, and that was like Christmas every single time that we got a box of food. And at that point, I decided that I was going to do something with my life to help people.
I am David Lapp. I'm the CEO here at Blessings of Hope. Our mission is to use food as a tool to open people's hearts, but the ultimate goal is that they would experience Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior.
I was blessed to be able to be a part of several outreaches. One was the huge outreach that Blessing of Hope does annually in Brooklyn, New York. There was a gentleman that was at the corner, and I just invited him. I said, "Hey, are you hungry?" And he didn't answer much. He said, I don't need anything. And I said, okay. And then I just said to him, I said, I just wanted to tell you, I said, do you know that you are loved? And he just went off about hate, and you could tell he was very angry, and there was just this hardness to him. And I said, and then at the very end he goes, but I could use a watermelon. And I went over and I got a watermelon, and his countenance completely changed, and the softness came back. He said thank you, and he walked away, and he wasn't angry anymore. It blessed me to be able to be the hands and feet of Jesus and to be able to directly give food to somebody who actually needed it.
What I do here, I'm the perishable food manager, so I manage the cold area here and the freezer. I think the biggest joy is really just getting to know the different ministries, knowing who they serve, how they serve them, so they come in, and people have been really blessed by just what they've seen, what they've been able to find.
I come weekly to pick out the food for the ministry. I'm a volunteer in the ministry. It's Blessings, Dressings, and More. We just thank God so much for Blessings of Hope and all they've done.
Well, when I first went to New York City, I became homeless, and I went to different small churches to eat. Now, I'm helping to assist ministries to feed. So it's a full circle for me. When I go to an outreach and they unload the truck and different people who are there in line to eat, they talk to me and they thank me. And I look and I see so many people and I know I'm making an impact.
I've pretty much been on my own since I was 13. Been homeless in a lot of places. It was one of those things where if it came to drugs or food, drugs would keep me from getting hungry. Fast forward to here, I got involved here honestly as a favor to somebody. Here with people, I can realize that the battles that I've fought, the things that I have done were for a purpose because I'm somebody that can reach that person where somebody else couldn't. And you would be surprised at how many people will come up to us and tell us that we're the only people in months that have had any kind of encouragement. And now I'm in a position that I can help somebody not feel like I used to feel. That's what it's about for me.
At the end of the day, there's testimonies on a regular basis of people that's lives got totally transformed. And that's really, really what we want. That's what we're after. We're after helping people's lives get transformed from hopelessness to having hope and a purpose for life. That's why we do what we do, is to see hope restored in people.
That I'm proud to say that except for a little bit of editing, that was basically done in-house. So that's another talent that some people at Blessings of Hope have. What I'm going to do right now is probably the part of the program that I've been looking forward to the most on a personal level, and that's to introduce our executive director and really the original driving force behind Blessings of Hope, and that's Aaron Fisher. For a long time in my life, I needed to change some things in my life, and with Greg Funk coming into my life and a few other people, and the Lord directed me to Blessings of Hope, it really has changed my life personally. So as you saw some of the people on the video, and as you've heard other stories about how Blessings of Hope changes lives, from personal experience, I can tell you it changed my life. I like to say to the leadership team and the other staff at Blessings of Hope that I actually, every day that I go into Blessings of Hope, and I look forward to going there, it's a very special place. And it's hard to put into words sometimes, but I like to say that I get more back from Blessings of Hope than that I give. Now, of course, David Lapp, he, of course, said at that point that I should probably pay to come there and work, but, and that's a true story, by the way, you know. But, no, and not to lessen the impact of the entire team at Blessings of Hope, because it has been significant on my life and it has changed my life. Probably the person that has been the biggest impact on changing my life is Aaron Fisher. I just can't say enough about Aaron. He is an incredible person. I'm 61, and without a doubt, he is one of the best people, the finest people, person that I've ever met and I've ever had the privilege of knowing. And he is going to come up tonight, and he's going to talk about all the great things that are happening at Blessings of Hope. Aaron?
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. And so I'm going to share some stories, but also some of the statistics of what happens at Blessings of Hope. You know, there's there's a lot of here, one of the people that gets food at Blessings of Hope, distributes food. She came as a person to receive food 5 years ago. And she was in a wheelchair, and she was hopeless and depressed. And through the volunteers that helped at Blessings of Hope, she got hope in her life again. And she started walking with a walker. And she found a purpose in life, and she started volunteering. That was the thing that she lived for every week, was to come to Blessings of Hope. Then she started walking with a cane. She now reaches out to 3 families. She carries the boxes by herself. You know, we can't manufacture that. When people's lives get changed, and that's really what we want, you know? So if you want to start the slide, David. Isn't it going to be on here? No? Okay. So, I actually can't see what's up there. What's that? So, thank you to all the amazing volunteers that we have here at Blessings of Hope, because it's through the volunteers really that a lot of lives get touched and transformed. And, you know, I want to, Ed and Jane Shirk, if you want to stand up, please. They have, Jane's the one that walked with this lady for that got hope back in her life. She would pray for her every week and encourage her. And that's a beautiful picture of the volunteers actually ministering to each other. Our focus is to reach out, right? But so much happens actually inside with the volunteers and even the staff that it's absolutely amazing. And we have, so as far as the volunteers, we have 1,800 volunteers, registered volunteers. So that is a big part of what we do. I'm sorry, I just can't see what's up there. What? Yeah, I would like a handheld. Do you have a handheld? It's really weird. So, yeah. So, so another thing that that happens at Blessings of Hope is the well, we talked about the Bowery Mission, and there's a team here from New York City, from Faith Life Ministries. If you could stand up, please, from Faith Life Ministries. They're the ones where we did the outreach in New York City. Whole team down here. A rehab center, and one of the guys said, you know what, I don't have any family. There's nothing keeping me in New York City, and so there's nothing keeping me in New York City, and I could just come home with you. So he came to the Restart Training Center. and we saw him every week for a year. He works at Burlington Coat Factory, and his life is, and he got married about half a year ago, and that is one of the testimonies of the things that happened out of New York City. And through that process, he gave his life to the Lord. So now I'll be able to see what's coming up. Go ahead with the slide. So we do over 150 different outreaches every year. There's 8,000 meals on an average outreach, and we do some disaster relief, which we'll talk a little bit about later. One of the things that happens is that as we do more and partner more, we need more financial donors. So we have foundations and businesses and individuals, a lot of individuals that help make Blessings of Hope happen. Next slide, please. So we have over 130 registered donors. Actually, it's over 1,900 registered volunteers and 170 ministries. So often we get asked the question, where does this food go to? That you're distributing all this food. Well, it went to 172 different organizations this year. So it goes to Bower Mission in New York City. It goes to other organizations in. Even though we do some in New York City, we do mostly within the greater Lancaster area. Over 60% of our food stays in the greater Lancaster area. So that'd be Lancaster County and the surrounding area. We have ministry. So with that, even though the biggest central impact is Lancaster County and surrounding areas, we've reached 16 states and 3 countries as well. That's food donors. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't make that clear. The 134 donors is food donors, not that's not financial donors. That is food donors. So those are 2 of the biggest questions we get asked. Where does it come from and where does it go? So it comes from 134 different places and goes to 172 different places. Next slide. And so we started a new program. Well, actually, let me back up. Let me just share a little bit where this came from. For a long time, we were searching for a way to empower individuals to reach out to a family that they know of that's struggling. And it took us quite a long time to actually to figure that out. But at a prayer meeting, somebody said, hey, why don't we get together one evening at Blessings of Hope, and we all make a couple boxes and we go to a family that we know that's struggling. Sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. And out of that came the Hands of Hope project, where an individual can come and get a box for a donation of $10. They can get a box and fill that. It's a nice new box, and they can fill that box with whatever they want to that is in the ministry shopping area, and take it to a family. Now, that food is absolutely not for the person that is there getting food. That is for them to take it to someone else. It is a program to empower you as an individual to get a box of food and make a connection with the person that's in need. That is the most powerful way to reach out that I know of, because it's one-on-one and it's personal. And right now, in this day and age, a lot of people are looking for a personal connection because so much of the internet, the Facebook, the media, there's no personal connection. And when you take the time to make a personal connection, that makes a really good impact on people. And the testimonies that we got from the first time that we did this, that we did the first one about 3 weeks ago, something like that, about 3 weeks ago. It was absolutely incredible. One after the next. So I know David's family, they took to 3 different places, and it took them 2 hours to deliver 3 boxes. Because each place the people wanted to talk and talk and talk. And they were hungry for connection. The Hands of Hope Project is a way for you to connect. When you take food to someone, it opens a door. And food is the tool. Helping people experience God is our goal. So you can take this tool and give it to someone else. Use that tool and help them experience God. The video cut off a little bit when I was sharing about where I grew up. But I grew up in a very poor family, and someone would bring us a box of food, and it was like Christmas every single time. Don't underestimate the impact that you have on the children of those families that you're reaching out to. I'm serious. Because your impact could make them a world changer. Right? Next slide. I think that might actually be the last one. So, with that, we're going to talk a little bit about disaster relief. Joe Bellina, if you want to make your way up here. In the last few days, we've been working, or last week, we've been working on disaster relief to Florida. Now, it doesn't say a whole lot in the news about Hurricane Michael. But there is some extreme need down in Panama City, in Florida. And Joe just came back. He got off the plane this afternoon. He took a load down. He took a truck and trailer down Thursday, and that truck and trailer, it's a dump trailer staying down there for cleanup purposes. And then he flew back. It's going to be taking another one down. Anyway, Joe, I appreciate you. And one of the things that, Joe has been in a lot of places in his life that are painful. And he's needed to forgive a lot. But that is molding him and changing his life. And the compassion that comes out of Joe when it comes to disaster, to outreaches, and helping people in general is amazing. So thank you, Joe. And go ahead.
Well, thanks, Aaron. You're a big reason as to why I am molding myself into the way that I am. Forget what you see on TV when it comes to Florida, because they're not telling you half of what's going on down there. I was at 9/11 a week after it happened, and down in Florida is a lot worse. The reason is different, but the devastation is a lot worse. It's like a refugee camp in a lot of these places. Tent cities, the cities are leveled. Panama City, Mexico Beach, the Air Force Base, it's pretty much flat. Where I was at, there are people that haven't eaten for a few days because you can't get to them. The trees are down, the logging crews are there, but most of the people and the cameras and everybody are concentrated in Mexico Beach and Panama City. We're working with the outlying areas, the farms, the small towns like Leola, things like that, where no cameras, nobody particularly cares. I can tell you that it's something like I've never seen. We brought a wide variety of things down there, everything from pet food to a little bit of feminine products. Everything that's down there, there's no power. And even if you have power, there's no house. The need down there, some of you guys are businessmen and women. The needs down there are not what you might think. They need tarps. Not just for the houses, but to keep out of the weather. Camping potties, or the potties that you have a toilet seat that pops into a 5-gallon pail, and the things that go into the pail so they could have some bathroom stuff. Baby food, diapers, Depends, powdered milk because there's no refrigeration. Those are the things that we brought down. Those are the things that are in a dire need. In working with the different organizations, and I'm going to be with Blessings of Hope doing a lot of different coordinating with a lot of different organizations down there. The next one we're going to be dealing with is the Southern Baptist Relief. We've been working with the Federation of Christian Farmers and with the United Methodists. The Red Cross right now is providing 30,000 to 40,000 meals a day. It ain't enough, people. They don't have enough food. People talk about taking tractor trailer loads in there. You can't get anywhere, and if you could, there's no place to put it. So the smaller trucks, the dump trailers that we're bringing down is twofold. We're bringing down food, but we got to cut the people out so we can get the food to them. I dropped the trailer off. We have about 20 people that first night that got food, 20 families. The next day, while I was stuck in Atlanta and I was talking to the people down there, they had a small army of people that are going out to get food to the people who can't get to the food. In about another week or so, the Red Cross is supposed to pull out of Panama City. No food. The Red Cross now is what's providing the hot meals because there's no electric. So when the Red Cross feels that it's not in a dire emergency, they go on to the next one. The problem is those people are still there. This is going to be a long, ongoing process, and that's where you guys come in. In order to do for Blessings of Hope to do what it has to do on a small scale at minimum, our needs are going to be, we need at least 3 more trucks. Why? Because we need 2 to continue to do business to what we're doing here, 1 on the way to Florida, while 1 is on the way coming back. To run a truck, right now is not quite as bad because while it's still considered a disaster, the Department of Transportation has got rid of the logbooks. So I could drive straight down there without having to worry about DOT violation. But when that ends, it's going to take about $1,500 a week just in fuel. You have to stop, and now you've got to rest. You have to take a break, so you have to get a hotel room because a straight truck has no place to sleep. When you get down there and unload, you got to take another hotel room, and halfway back, you got to take another one. So it's going to be about $2,000 a week. The need down there, in all honesty, we could do this, 2 trucks going back and forth every week for the next 8 months, and maybe there'll be something there. Because you got to remember, when FEMA's gone and the cameras are gone, everybody's interest is gone. And then they're forgotten. We're not going to let that happen. Aaron was talking about the children. the volunteers and the families here, the little kids made hand-printed cards that we brought a bunch of them down so the kids would know that they weren't forgotten. I mean, you hear about and see people that sleep in their cars and the homeless people. I was one of them. You know, you sleep anywhere you can, but these people didn't have a choice in the matter. That was something that, a natural disaster. And then you have all these little kids that here, they're at home, they're sleeping, they're being held, they're being loved, and out there, they don't even have a car to sleep in, some of them. I drove by there and I saw trees that were laying down, and the guy that gave me a ride to the airport and gave me a little tour, that was a forest. And the forest, anything over 20 feet is gone. He was showing me what I thought were logging roads or driveways to the people who live back in those trees. They can't get to them because the trees are down. Massive effort to get the power back on. That's fantastic. But no house, no stove, no refrigerator, no nothing. So what we need food-wise, and those of you that have stores and businesses like that, you know, the baby food, the diapers, we sent down the beefaroni, the Pop-Top meals. You pop a top, you open up a can of spaghetti or a can of beefaroni, can of fruit. We sent down a bunch of MREs, that's meals ready to eat, or military meals, the ones that heat themselves. We sent down a bunch of individual sized soups that you just add water. Even cold water, it takes longer, but cold water will allow them to eat something. Granola bars and soups and rice meals that all you have to do is add water. Depending on whether you can heat it or not, you got something to eat. But it's just one of those things where the devastation is not anything like what you see on TV. And those people need to understand that we that have want to care about those that at this particular point in time don't. One of the things that God did to make me understand that this is the right thing to do was on the plane back, there was plane trouble and I got stuck, and I was talking to a young couple that came out of the military, and we're telling them what we were doing, and the lady behind me taps me on the shoulder, gives me a card. My husband's a doctor. He's been trying to find a way to volunteer through his church, and he just can't get it done. And he's got a friend and they want to help. Can you use a doctor? Oh, yes, we can. And when I go back down Monday, and the people we're partnering with Blessings of Hope, we're going to make sure that we can use those doctors. The police chief of Elizabethtown is a friend of mine, and we're going to be in touch with the police departments down there for what they need. One last thing I'll tell you, some of you may never have experienced it, and I hope to God you never do, but the military is down there at the Panama City Airport. It is martial law. The Army is running things down there right now, whether it's the National Guard or the Army. They told me it was the Army. For looters and everything else, they really need your help. I know this is a fundraiser and all of that, but if you will allow us to help those people down there, unfortunately, it's going to take a checkbook, and it's going to take a lot of willingness on your part to donate the things that are needed that we can get them down there. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And I think we're going to watch some pictures and videos that Joe took when he was down there. Okay. I actually get the privilege to introduce my good friend Jonas Stolzfus. And Jonas started helping at Blessing of Hope, I think around 2010, or he came on the board in 2010, and he started coaching me 2 years ago. He's also a business coach. So what he has meant to me in my life is amazing. Thank you, Jonas. We would not be where we are without Jonas. I can tell you that. And we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. That was nice of you. What a wonderful presentation. I always enjoy your passion. When I go to Blessings of Hope, without Aaron there, I always enjoy Aaron's excitement for life and the hope. And I'll go there and he says, hey, Jonas, you got to see this. Look what we just got in. You got to see this. And he'll show me food I've never seen before. I didn't know food existed, some of the foods that existed. So I enjoy that part about Aaron. And I know if you go there, Aaron is about bringing hope and blessing to people. And that's probably one of my favorite things about Blessings of Hope is Aaron's passion and his friendship. 8 years ago, Aaron asked me to join, be on the board for Blessings of Hope. And I told him, I've got enough going, I'm busy, my life is full. Sorry, right now I'm gonna pass. And so I go on my merry way, and a couple months later I end up in a meeting at Blessings of Hope through another person that was looking to get a job there, and I'm helping him get a job. And here there's a group of guys there that are asking me to be on their board. And I'm looking at this and saying, God's not letting me go. Must be God's calling me into this thing. And so I consented. And being on the board of Blessings of Hope has been just an amazing ride. It's really been a lot of rewards, a lot of challenges, pressing through, pushing forward. And if it wasn't that I believed that it was a vision from God, I wouldn't be on it. I really believe that this is a vision that God has given Aaron and the team there at Blessings of Hope and everybody that comes there that participates with that vision. It's a vision that I believe is from God. It's something that God has said, this is a work that I need to have done. Who would do it? Right here is Aaron and a group of people that I'm going to have do this. And that's why I believe it's worth the pressures and the challenges of navigating through tough situations and the challenges that come along the way. One of the things that Aaron was just sharing about, he did ask me to be his business coach, which was a pleasurable delight to be a part of that. And he drew something out of me that I didn't know was in there. Well, I did, but he drew it out and he helped me to exercise and activate that. And today, that's what I do for a living. It's like I found my sweet spot. And he helped me draw that out. Found my sweet spot to go ahead and work with business leaders and nonprofit leaders and help them develop their infrastructure, their strategy, their game plan, and their organization, and help build it into something that works and something that runs and something that blesses people. And so I'm here to say, as we contribute into the things of God, as we contribute into the visions of God, there is a release that God releases back into our life and activates the things that are in there, the potential that's in us. I believe that everyone that connects and contributes into this God vision, this vision from God, will receive an activation in their life that will draw out the potential that is within your life. Something that is within you that you desire and you do. And I believe that God is saying, yes, I can make this happen for you. As we connect with the things of God, God releases those things right back into our life. As we give into the things of God, God gives back with a bigger bucket. The things that really mean something in life, the things that bring fulfillment in life. I believe that's what it's about. As we sow into the things of God, we connect with the heartbeat of God. There are some things in the midst of all of this hope that Blessings of Hope contributes and releases. There are, I marvel at all of the work that gets done and all of the hope that gets released. And in the midst of all this vision, it takes money. We all know that. Nothing runs without money. Really, I usually thought it would. If God's in it, he'll provide. And yes, he will. But it takes money to make it flow. This year, we had a budget of $700,000. And we are we're around $500,000 for this year. And we're looking at raising another $200,000 to complete our books, close out well, and to invest in two important things that are really kind of close to my own heart. Because I believe as we invest in some things that will produce even more down the road. And I'll share you what we'd like to do. So we would like to, two items. One is the inventory management system we would like to implement. When food comes into the warehouse, we unload it, we check the skid, what's on it, and where it goes. And it puts it into a computer, and it's a management system that shows us, as the food moves through the warehouse, where it is and when it's going out. Currently, today, I think it's all in Aaron's head. And we're trying to get it out of his head into a computer system. I'm not sure, it's around $5,000 to $10,000 system, something like that. And we would like to, once our budget is met this year, to invest in that, like I think it's $7,000 management system. The second item that we're looking to build and invest in is an e-commerce site where you could go to our website, and you could find the food in the website and order online, put your order in, and order shows up at Blessings of Hope. You could do this, ministry partners could do this at 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, 5 or 6 in the morning, when Blessings of Hope's doors are closed, and they're running to work or doing whatever they're doing, and on their spare time order their food and save time from coming shopping at Blessings of Hope during our daily hours. And we believe that this would raise our revenue by 50% within 1 month's time. It's approximately $20,000 investment to get this e-commerce site connected with the inventory management system. And if we raise the funds to do that, I believe I want to share this. We have ministry partners that partner with us for a certain fee a month, and they receive food. 30% of our revenue comes from that. 70% of our revenue comes from people like you. We work hard, and we work for our money, and yet we want to give something into the kingdom. And businesses that give, foundations that give, all kinds of people that give. 70% of our revenue comes from people sitting right here, right like us. And what I'm going to ask is that we would consider what we can contribute into this vision that I believe God has released to Aaron and a group of us that are carrying this vision. As long as you connect with this and sow into this, I believe we are all carrying this vision as we sow into it financially. On your table, there is a newsletter. Inside the newsletter, there's an envelope. In the envelope, we can give either by check, cash, or write down our credit card. There's also a text that we can do. And on the back of our little handout like this, there is a red thermometer. And on that red thermometer, it shows you that we have already raised over 25,000, 30,000 some. I'm not sure where we're at, David. He shows it on the screen. We have already raised towards this banquet, banquet sponsors, table sponsors, generous donors that have already contributed to this cause and this mission. You can text 91999 and it'll pull up a link to go on the website that you can enter your credit card information and give like that tonight. If you don't have it with you, you can take it home and do it when you get home. If you have it with you, you can do it right now on the spot. If you have even just a little, I know some people have a lot and some people have a little. But even if you just have a little, that what you give is going to help you, bring you into a part of helping this mission and this vision. We have a special gift we're going to give to the donors who contribute $1,000 into this cause. We don't have to stop at 1,000. We could give 5,000, 10,000, however much you want to give. There's no limit. But whoever gives $1,000 will receive one of these trucks with the Blessings of Hope logo on it. It will be sent out to you. Put your address on the envelope and it'll be sent out to you at a later date. What I would like to do, I would like to pray for this offering, these donations, for this money, and we will lift our hearts up to God, Jesus Christ the King. It is about him and his glory and what he wants to do with this money, what he wants to do with this vision, what he wants to do to further this work. Let's bow for prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you, God, for your kindness. We thank you for life more abundantly. We thank you for eternal life through Jesus Christ. We thank you for the faith that you have imparted to us and the ability to think and to work and to prosper. And we thank you that by your hand you prosper us, that of our own efforts we could go nowhere without your blessing. And we thank you that you keep releasing the blessings to us and through us for those whom you want to show your love to. And I pray your blessing on the offering of every giver and every gift that is given tonight. And those who can't give, I pray your blessing on them also. God, that your blessing would flow in abundance for everyone, that as our hearts contribute to this cause, that there will be a where our treasure is, there our heart is also. And that there will be a release of blessing back to every heart's desire that is under the lordship of Christ will receive that life more abundantly in a more powerful way as we go about our journey. In Jesus' name, amen. Yes. Oh, your gift, put it in the basket in the center of your table. Somebody will be around to pick it up. Put it in the envelope and then in the basket.
Thank you. I'm sure you're all tired of hearing from me, so I'm going to make this really short. Jordan Steffi, boy, what a tremendous person, doing some great work. I could probably stand up here for 15 minutes. I won't. I could stand up here and talk about my good friend and brother, Jordan Steffi. Jordan was an athlete. He was a quarterback. He was a true freshman starter at a Division I university, University of Maryland. And then something happened and his life went off in a different direction. And what he does, and one of the reasons I thought he would be a good keynote speaker for this evening, is because he has founded and he runs a successful nonprofit. So he understands the nonprofit world. There is a bio in the things that were on your table at your place setting. And by the way, we fired the spell checker on that too. So that's sort of an inside joke. But Jordan, what he did, and I'll be quick, what he did, he took a great idea, and the idea was that there are at-risk and underserved populations in the city of Lancaster. And these young men and these young women have tremendous potential to do positive things. but they need some direction in their lives. They need some discipline. They need to learn how to be on time and to stay on schedule and to do well in school. And that was Jordan, a fairly simple idea, but a world-changing idea. Because what he does, he brings young, promising young men and women into his program. He trains them, he equips them, he makes sure that they do well in school. And then the incredible thing is, he gets them into some of the top public and private universities in the East Coast of the United States. I mean, think of that. And then on top of that, after they go through the program and they get into college, they get into a university, he follows up with them, he makes sure that they're doing well, and then they have been taught through the program that after they graduate, they're expected to give back, to become leaders in their communities, and to be beacons of hope, and to be positive influences in their community. And to me, there are very, very few more important fundamental needs in our society right now than exactly what he is doing. Jordan Steffi.
Thank you, Tom. It's so good to be here. I have about 15 minutes, give or take 10, and I will try to make this very brief. I know that this is the start of the weekend, but it is amazing to look around this room. This is a little different perspective from the one that I just had there, but it is amazing to look around the room and to really hear the hearts. I think, you know, Aaron, as you stood up here, and sometimes we struggle to find the words, but the amazing thing is that the people who are in this room have not necessarily heard what you've said, they've watched what you do, and that's why we're here tonight. And so can we acknowledge Aaron and the team one more time for everything that they are doing? So I am here for really two reasons. One, Tom asked me, and anybody who knows Tom knows that there's really not a no that he will accept, and so that is the one reason. But the second reason I'm actually here is because of a homeless man in Baltimore. This was about 10 years ago. I was walking down the street in Baltimore, Maryland, with a mentor of mine, and this gentleman approached us, and he said, "Excuse me, do you know the greatest nation in the world?" And I said, "Of course, the United States of America." He said, "No." I said, "Well," he was an African-American man. I said, "Some country in Africa." He said, "Nope." I said, "Sir, I don't know. What's the greatest nation in the world?" He said, "A donation. You got 50 cents?" I thought that was good. But that is so true, right? And the greatest thing that we can do is give. And that's the reason why we're gathered here tonight. It was amazing to hear Aaron talk about his story as kind of being a recipient. You know, from the time that I was 9 until the time that I was 14, I would go with my friends to the grocery store, and they would go to Giant or Wise or Stouffer's, and we'd go through, and they'd have kind of the grocery cart, and we'd kind of go through and throw things in, and whatever parent was along would make us put it back on. And then we kind of came up with the strategy that if one went from one side and then another came from the other, while they were distracted, we kind of get things in, and then it was just an awkward moment at the register. But I would go to with my friends to the grocery store. But my experience was a little different when I was with my mom. And we would go to these places, and it would have like WSM or the worship center, and they would give us a box. And it was amazing when I would ask my mom, "Why don't we have to go through and pick out our groceries?" She would say, "Because Jesus and his angels have picked out our groceries for us." When I stand here tonight and I look around at the angels that she was talking about, I know that I'm here for a reason. And I think one thing that Aaron would share, and any of us who have come from humble beginnings, is this idea and this belief that I've had for a long time, and that was that Jesus did not save me to take me out of the fight. He saved me so I could go even deeper into it. say that one more time. Jesus did not save me so that he could take me out of the fight. He saved me so I could go deeper into it. I had a mentor by the name of Daryl Daniel, and if I'm being really honest, I initially wanted to hang out with Daryl Daniel because he drove a Lexus with big rims on it. He listened to the same music that I did, and he was in the NFL at the time. But if I think about it right now, it was really that he held me accountable to my dreams. The fact that he walked me down the road to college, something that nobody in my family had ever done before. And it was those things that really mattered. But the one thing that Daryl continued to impart on me, something that every person in this room believes, is that dreams don't work unless you do. And so there was this idea that I was going to be the recipient of gifts and of God, but I had to do my part. And so when you fast forward 4 years to my senior year in high school and the 52 scholarship offers that I had, humble brag thrown in there a little bit, it was very clear that the trajectory of my life changed the day that I met Daryl Daniel, my mentor. And so one of the most special person in my life is my mom. She had me as a teenager. She was from Lancaster. I grew up in Leola, but my mom was from Lancaster, got on the Amtrak train, and came back years later with me. She raised me as a single mom, and it was rough. It was rough, but I just had the question that I oftentimes get is, why are you doing what you're doing now? And really the answer is because there have been so many people who've really poured into me, and it was part of just kind of paying it forward. But my mom had me as a teenager, and to this day, she's my biggest fan. And so she really instilled in me kind of this idea that we were going to continue to give forward. So to just give a very brief background on my organization, it's called Children Deserve a Chance. We are based in Lancaster City. We are really hyper-focused on kind of helping young people explore their options after high school. And so we work with 12 school districts throughout Lancaster County as these young people do this. But it really all started for me after I finished college. I actually went on a trip to Africa with one friend. And I'll never forget, we had planned for this for a couple of months, and we got there, and it was a little unlike anything that we were expecting. We kind of got off the plane, and we were in Africa. How many people here actually have been to Africa? I know it's probably a good amount. So we were in Tanzania, is where we started, and we got off the plane, and that first night, it was so real that we were there that we actually were considering, like, let's just stay here at the airport, because this is not what we were expecting. But we decided to go, and I'll never forget the first night. We had about a 3.5-hour drive to get to the village that we were going to. And we were going in this kind of raggedy type, truck that someone had picked us up at the airport in, and we're about 2 hours into this drive, and I am convinced that this is a terrible idea. We have all of our money for the trip on us. This gentleman who kind of welcomed us into his truck did it with a machete, which was kind of weird, but I would later find out that they all kind of carried those. But about 2 hours into this, I realized that this was not actually a good idea. And I looked over at my friend John, who was with me, and John looked like he was sleeping. And I'm like, how in the world is John sleeping when we are about to die? And I nudged him. I said, John, wake up. And he said, I'm not sleeping, I'm praying. I said, all right, keep doing that. Keep doing that. And it wasn't, I promised you, 5 minutes from the time that we made the decision that this was not right for us, that there was a light. That there was a light out in the distance. And we ended up driving, and as we approached this light, we came across Case New Holland, Tanzania. This lit up building was Case New Holland, and all of a sudden I felt like I was at home. We had this amazing visit, but it was just kind of one of the first things that we realized was that sometimes we'll kind of start to travel, and then it starts to get uncomfortable, and it becomes really easy to kind of turn around. And my hope, and what I know from Tom and the people involved in this organization, is that when we kind of face those bumpy roads, that we don't turn around because we're so close. And I firmly believe, Aaron, that tonight, I know your goal was 100,000, but there is someone here who's decided that a transformational gift was what was best for them. And I believe, and I'm asking the people in this room to believe, that is going to happen for Blessings of Hope tonight. You can clap at that. That's fine. So while we're in Africa, there was this moment. We'd kind of done the work in the villages, and then we were going to go on a safari. And there was this kind of serene moment as we're standing there, and there are these giraffes. And there are these other animals running around. There were turtles. And I'll never forget looking out of the back of the truck and seeing this turtle eating the grass and seeing this giraffe that was eating from the tops of these trees. And it became so clear to me in that moment as we talk about vision that we can only eat in line with our vision. That all the giraffe could see was the tops of the trees, and they were eating the fruits, and all the turtles could see were the grass, and so they were eating from the grass. And it became so clear to me how important vision was. How important vision was. And so I started to look into giraffes a little bit more, and what I found out, and I don't know if anybody here like into giraffes as well, but giraffes actually have a 25-pound heart. And the reason the heart's so big is so that it can pump the blood up the neck so that they can actually keep their head up. But what will happen with a giraffe if it puts its head down into the grass is it will actually pass out. And I need you to understand something, that from a vision standpoint, you were given a big heart for a reason, Aaron. You were given a big heart for a reason, Jonas, and it's to keep it up there. And regardless of how things feel in the moment, this organization was meant to eat from the tops of the trees. In our organization, we talk about a couple of things that seem like they would be kind of dichotomous. So we talk about micro speed and macro patience on a daily basis. Talk about how do we work daily with this sense of urgency, but understand that amazing things and great things take time. We talk about some other things, but the one thing we talk about is that everything we need is underneath our fingertips. Everything we need is underneath our fingertips, and we don't have to be anybody who we're not in order to realize these things. I learned this the hard way. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we had some donors come to our foundation downtown. And we had this whole thing planned out. We were going to meet them outside, and we were going to give them this grand tour, and we were going to show them how amazing our students were. And so I meet them outside, and I tell them about these students, and the truth is that we have been growing so much that I don't know all of the students anymore. We have 600 young people who are coming through our doors. I don't know all of the students. And I should have just been truthful about that, but what I did instead is I said, we know every one of these kids, and we love them to death, and we know everything. And so we walked this family in, and sure enough, the first young lady I approached, who's sitting at a table, I said, hey, Charlotte, I want to introduce you to some of our guests. And she looks up at me, and she goes, "That's not my name." I felt so bad. And as if that wasn't worse, she looked up and she goes, "You never know my name." And her name was Charlene. But it was a great reminder and a very humbling experience that I didn't need to fake as if we knew every student. We were growing, and that was an amazing thing. The truth would be good enough. What we had or what we needed, we had underneath our fingers. And so that was one thing. The second thing that we learned is that we needed to always see what we were pursuing, not the things that were between us and the things that we were pursuing. After starting the organization and graduating from University of Maryland, I had the great privilege to go to business school in New York City at Columbia. And so on Saturdays, what we would do when we were in business school is we'd go out for these runs around Central Park. And one of the things that they had during these runs on Saturdays typically was they'd have these tables that would be laid out. And on the tables, they would have like free things, like bagels and whatnot, and I'm down for free things. And so after the one run, I said to one of my buddies, I said, we should get those bagels. And he was like, yeah, but that line. And I was like, yeah, but the bagels, they're free. And he's like, yeah, the line. I was like, free bagels. And he wasn't getting it. But I said, watch this. And so I kind of walked up, and in between two people, I reached in and I grabbed two bagels, and I handed him one, and I had one. And because what he didn't realize is that the rule is that you can have anything you want in this world, and you don't have to go about it the conventional way. You just can't stop other people from getting what they want. And so we got the two bagels. We didn't get to choose the types of bagels they were and all of that, but we had two bagels, and we were able to do it differently. And I think one of the things that as an organization we understand is that we're going to have to do things a little bit differently. And some of the risks and the chances that you took tonight in this gathering are risks and chances that you should continue to take. Because those are going to be the things that are going to propel this organization into the next phases of it. And so I want to continue to always focus on the bagels and not the lines, right? So this last thing, and I want to bring this thing to a close, because we are right at the time. And this is kind of a challenge to all of us. And this is a story that I heard. But I thought that the kind of the meaning behind it really would resonate with some people here. I know there's a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. So there was an undersecretary who was giving a speech at a conference with about as many people who are in the room tonight. And it was a conference that he had spoke at for many years. And he was up, and he kind of had his PowerPoint up, and he had just actually retired. And so as he was kind of mid-sentence in this presentation, he kind of stopped, and he was holding a styrofoam cup of coffee, and he kind of chuckled as he looked down at it. And he said, last year I was the undersecretary, and you guys flew me here business class. And when I got to the airport, you had already, had a car waiting for me, and you had checked me into the hotel. And when I came down from the hotel the morning before, there was a car waiting for me that took me to the back exit, and you whisked me into the green room, and there was a cup of a ceramic mug of coffee that was waiting for me. He said, this year I'm no longer the undersecretary. I bought my own ticket here. I flew coach. When I got to the airport, I went outside and hitched a cab. When I got to the hotel, I checked myself in this morning. I found my way to the front door, somehow got my way to the back, and when I asked someone for a cup of coffee, they pointed into the corner, and I poured myself a cup of coffee in this here styrofoam cup. He said, the point is that the ceramic mug was never meant for me. It was meant for the position I held. I deserve a styrofoam cup. And I know as believers in this room tonight that we understand that it's this sense of humility. It's this sense that the gifts that we were given by God are not for us, that it's our responsibility to allocate them wisely. And by being here tonight and by getting to know my good friend Tom and Aaron and Jonas, I can't think of a better organization for us to support than Blessings of Hope. Thank you so much.
So much, Jordan. Appreciate it. God bless you. Wow. Was it that good? We're going to wrap up, let everyone get out of here. Few announcements. One is, as you head down that way, we forgot to mention the Hand of Hope box down at the table. If you're interested in getting involved in the Hand of Hope program, get a box, take it to a neighbor, bless them. Down there's a box, shows you that. Second is table sponsors. Whoever sponsored a table, whoever paid for a table and sponsored it also gets a truck. On your way out, pick yours up out on the desk and take one along home. And silent auction. If you bidded on a silent auction item, make sure you check it to see if you got it. And if you got it, you take it along home. Just check it on the way out. And after you pay. Pay back at the pay back at the table. Okay. Let's pray. A closing prayer as we prepare to part. Father God, it's about you, about Jesus Christ, and about what the Holy Spirit brings as revelation. It's about what you have done and what you want to do in us and what you want to do through us and what you want us to do in your name to bring you honor and praise and glory that belongs to you, Jesus Christ, the King, forever and ever. And I pray as we go out these doors that we can continue shining for Jesus, spreading hope, spreading life, spreading love everywhere we go. I pray that we are so filled and overflowing with the love of God that it flows out of us wherever we go, and that we are enabled and empowered to make deep, wise decisions that will change and affect lives around us for the glory of God. Amen. Go